The following is an EHC media production.
Yo, alright, get my face. It is March 23rd, 2018. WrestleMania is like 2 weeks away. And, as you know, I went to Elimination Chamber. That was amazing. But as far as I knew, I wasn't going to be able to make it to WrestleMania because of a lot of issues. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of time off work. It's a lot of I'm scared to fly. It's a lot of issues. But this sounds crazy to say, but I think it might have all gotten worked out. I think I might be going to WrestleMania.
Got my fist in the air, screaming black power. I feel like Tookie Williams' last hour. We used to stand for something, but most niggas is cowards. Took rows to bars to sit down, so I'm pro-black like the pigs with the fist now. 80s, crack exists now. All these babies going crazy cause these ladies smoking daily now. So tell me, how you really gonna say the chow when it's still running through our veins as a juvenile? If something's gonna change, you better do it now. Since this makes sense, we gonna start a movement now.
We gotta be doing something great.
It's time. It's time.
Who you trying to kid?
I do not give a damn.
Because you're too scared to do the job your goddamn self.
I need someone that's like, has that, some energy in them.
You guys know nothing about me.
I'm gonna take you out.
Promo climax time. Promo climax. You're all on fucking notice.
Either you rise or you fall. Rise or you fall. Either you rise or you fall.
Hey, what's going on, wrestling fans? It's Marquez here, coming at you with a new episode of the Gorilla Position. I will be joined shortly with my co-host Emir, Costello, and we will be talking the much anticipated and much talked about NXT TakeOver, War Games 2, and of course Survivor Series. You can't go over one without the other. So, we're gonna rant, we're gonna rave, we are gonna have a quick discussion of this whole, I guess, possible new promotion. So yeah, you're gonna hear our take on that and a bit more, so stand by. Okay, we're back, and we're going to get right into it. Emir, we're on episode 2 of the Gorilla Position. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing well, man. It's been an interesting couple of days, and we're winding down here at the end of the night. No better way to wind down at the end of Thanksgiving than to talk some wrestling with Moses Marquez.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought. What a better way to do it. I always, every time I go to one of my family functions, especially on my girlfriend's side, because those are the ones we mainly go to. And one, her cousin, her boyfriend is like, he's as casual of a fan as you can be. Like he likes wrestling. He really wants to watch it, but he refuses to dedicate the time. But he always watches on. He pretty much says just like Facebook, and they give you a lot on Facebook for the most part. But he's able to keep up with it. Like, he was excited to hear about how Survivor Series went, willing to actually go and watch it. So, I mean, I kind of hype things up, I guess. But, like I said, I enjoyed it. You were at the show. You paid good money for it. Was it worth your ticket money?
Yeah, you know what? If you're going to say you hyped Survivor Series, I would say that whatever you said that was good about it, you were probably right. Yeah, it's one of those things where Survivor Series, or should I say main roster pay-per-views in general, have sucked for years. NXT is just always the better show. And while I do feel that NXT was, again, the better show, I will say that for the first time in a long time, the main roster pay-per-view did not suck. It was also very, very good.
Like I said, I will not disagree with that by any means. I enjoyed it. I did tune out a little bit for a couple of matches, but I wasn't necessarily completely out. Like, I didn't change the channel. I didn't skip any of it. I wasn't, it had my attention. The Survivor Series women's match was kind of just like whatever. I don't watch the pre-show, and I kind of wish I did, because I heard that the tag team Survivor Series match was actually really good. And then on the main, Michael fucking Cole, your lead announcer, buries it and says, "Oh, well, that match doesn't count." Like, how does it not count? I have to dedicate an extra hour to watching this show, and it don't count? Fuck you.
I'll tell you why, man. The reason why it doesn't count is because it's the same reason why the people who work the pre-show instead of the main card on the pay-per-view don't make money. Because when they produce the Survivor Series DVD, it won't include the pre-show. So therefore, technically, it doesn't exist. It never happened. So like New Day and Usos and all those guys that were in that pre-show match, they won't get any of the royalties from the Survivor Series DVD, since their match won't actually be on the DVD. And that's why it also doesn't count toward the win total for SmackDown.
That's complete and total BS. Complete and total BS. But anyway, before we get into it, we're also actually going to go over the great to, every match on that TakeOver card was either really good or just out of this world. And the worst match of them all, which is still yet a really good match, was the opener. But before we get into either one of those, I'm not too sure if you have been, keeping your ears to all the talk all over Twitter and all that nonsense, but trademarks have been filed in Florida for all Elite Wrestling and shows called All Out or Double or Nothing or Tuesday Night Dynamite, AEW, All Elite Wrestling. And this is pretty much a sign that this is the Bullet Club's or the Elite's new promotion with Chris Jericho and Jim Ross. Have you heard about this? How do you feel about this?
A couple of things about this. So I have heard about it, and off the top, one of the things that I'm hearing is that Chris Jericho and Jim Ross's role, if at all, if they have any role at all, it's been greatly exaggerated. It was kind of funny because for a while I was hearing rumors that Jim Ross and Jericho were starting a new promotion. And then I was also hearing rumors that Cody Rhodes and the Elite were getting ready to start their own promotion. But the rumors never indicated that all of them were technically working together on the same promotion. So I was like, all right, there's going to be two new things potentially coming out. And it turned out that it was all the same thing. And that Jericho and Jim Ross might not actually be involved. And then I read an article when they were asking Kenny Omega, so what's the reason why you don't just go to WWE again? Like, what are you guys doing out there? He was just like saying, if I was in this for the money, if I just wanted to make a bunch of money and didn't really care about my craft, I would have went to WWE a long time ago. And he's like, but what's important to me is that I grew up watching WWE and thinking that was the only thing that existed. That was the only thing that was out there. And it wasn't until I got older that I started finding out about independent companies and realizing that, like, he's like me. He grew up thinking that because WWE was the biggest company, that nothing else mattered and nothing else was the right way to do it. But then once he became an independent wrestler, he realized that you don't have to just do what WWE says. They're not even a wrestling company. They're a sports entertainment company. But he fell in love with pro wrestling, and he wants to wrestle. He doesn't want to sports entertain. And he says he has no problem with WWE, but what he wants to do is offer fans an alternative. He wants to give fans a chance to see the style of wrestling that he does and other different styles of wrestling. And he thinks that people having, variety is the spice of life, and people having choices is what's best for business. So it sounds to me like Kenny Omega is never going to go to WWE, and nor is, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson there, or Cody Rhodes, or any of those guys. And furthermore, this has left WWE in a complete panic mood, and they have a good couple of guys. Their contracts are coming up pretty soon. Apparently, WWE is going to try to lock them down and offer them big money to stay, because the last thing that they want is their free agents leaving the company to go wrestle for AEW.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of rumors surrounding a lot of this. One big rumor is there are 2 unnamed superstars willing to quit, willing to walk out, if not allowed to walk out, properly, with a proper release, so they could go wrestle for AEW if this, turns out to be what it really is. Those 2 wrestlers, not too sure. We can stipulate that on that maybe a little later. And then, of course, there's the other factor of, because the WWE is possibly missing out on the Elite and all the guys that are coming with them, they're looking at all the other guys that they probably wouldn't have normally looked at. I'm hearing word that they're looking at guys like Trevor Lee, guys like Shane Strickland. The list goes on from there. So they have eyeballs all over the indie scene. Obviously, we see William Regal go to all these shows, not just PWG, but I'm sure there's other ones than that. I know they're trying to get international stars to sign. Problem with that is those guys actually want to wrestle. They don't want to be sports entertainers, like how you put it, and that's exactly the way to put it. But I guess if you want to make your money, you go to WWE. If you really love wrestling, you can stay on the indie scene, grind it out. It's not like you're not making good money, because a lot of these guys are making really good money, like really good money. So
yeah, that's true, man. WWE is not the dream destination it used to be, and the reason why is because it turns out that there's enough smart marks out there. See what I did there?
I love that.
That they've realized that the good wrestling exists outside of WWE. WWE is not a wrestling show or a wrestling company. They're a sports entertainment company, and those are 2 very different things. And you don't have to go to WWE to make money. And also, if you don't want to be limited in what you're doing, and you don't want to have your style limited, it would be to your benefit to go to some other place. Now, if I'm WWE, here's what's best for business, and this is undeniable. Also, because it's a great idea, that's the reason why they won't do it. But if you can't get Kenny Omega to come wrestle for you, and you can't get Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks to come wrestle for you, I think the number one thing that you should do is offer them a time slot on the WWE network, and in the deal, you work it out to where they have a time slot and you have access to their library, which will be built over the course of the next few years and so on and so forth. And yes, they're not WWE wrestlers, but at least if people are going to be viewing their product, they could view it on the WWE network. So you're not losing viewers. In fact, you may gain some viewers that way. But I suspect that WWE won't do that. And they're going to lose a couple of good guys because they're going to Jim Ross, for example, they were signing him to another contract. And then they try to do this thing where they went like, we shall extend your contract. You shall make good money, but you're not going to be allowed to do anything with New Japan anymore. And it's like, why? Why do you want to isolate everybody and make everybody just be in your company? Like, what's the... Why? I don't get why you want to hurt people's pockets and opportunities. Like, I know they're mad they can't control Jericho. He just does what he wants, but
no,
it's just...
They absolutely hate that they can't because he is a big part of why this is actually happening. Not just the fact that he's willing to jump into the whole thing, but if it wasn't for him jumping to New Japan and doing his thing there and then teasing the hell out of everybody that he's going to TNA, he is one of the guys that helped form this. I mean, it was already going that way. Like, we're changing the destination scene. Maybe you don't want to go to WWE. Maybe you really just want to go to Japan. Like, and he helped stir the pot. So, yeah, they hate him right now.
I will say this about AEW. I don't know what the hell is the deal with Florida, but I hate the fact that it's all the way on the other side of the country from us because, like, for example, NXT is based out of Full Sail University in Florida. And so if you live there, great, you can go there whenever you want. But if you live, like, Long Beach or San Diego, you have to hope that NXT may be touring somewhere near you. And for me, they never tour in Long Beach, and for some reason they never tour in Los Angeles. Whenever NXT has come out to California, it's always like some place that I'd have to drive really far to get to. And initially they didn't start out even touring. First they had to like spend some time really building a fan base there in Florida. So AEW, I suspect it'll be the same way. It'll be 1 to 2 years before they even start touring, and when they do, they never seem to come straight to the West Coast, and so I'm just annoyed by that. Like, why can't they just come to Southern California so I can go see them all the time?
No,
I don't know.
I'm right there with you. Like, it seems like all the really, really good wrestling is in Florida. Speaking of the Florida, the financial backer for this possible new promotion is the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Jacksonville, Florida, mind you. So,
that makes more sense then. There it is.
So, I mean, we can go all day with that, but we have this awesome 2 cards to get into, and we are going to start with TakeOver because it was just the freaking greatest. I got the predictions in with you and our man Ted P. De Niro, who was going to join us for the show, but it's Thanksgiving, so you know what I mean? We were able to put this together last minute. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it, but he will be back. Mark my words.
Smart mark your words.
Smart mark my words. I love it. I love it. So, let's see here. We have the NXT TakeOver War Games 2 from the Staples Center in Los Angeles. The very first match, which was not supposed to be a match, Matt Riddle, Cassius Ohno. Matt Riddle comes down to the ring. He grabs the mic, and just like he should, just because it's awesome, he just says, bro. And everybody goes fucking nuts because he's the king of bros. He is talking about how Cassius Ohno was running his mouth during the pre-show and that that he doesn't have a match scheduled tonight. He has a match scheduled for NXT TV, but he would knock him out in both places. Bro. Loved it. This was your first time seeing Matt Riddle. Just off that opening promo, what kind of vibe did you get off him?
First of all, I love NXT. I love being a part of Awesome Chance. And so Matt Riddle comes out And they immediately started going, bro, 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 bro. And of course, it just reminded me of Joe, 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 Joe. But it was cool to be a part of that. And then he gets on the mic and he's like, bro. It's like,
Just, oh, it was
it's
so awesome. I loved him. He's
yeah.
awesome.
Sometimes something so simple can just be so like amazing. You're like, this is awesome. He said one word. It only had 3 letters in it. He elongated it, but it was like, oh, this guy is so good already. One thing I didn't like about Matt Riddle, and also I never heard anybody say his name, so until you said his name, I just assumed his name was Matt Riddell. But
A
Riddle,
lot of
fine.
people thought that too for the longest time. I thought so. When I was watching him during the UFC, I was like, it's Matt Riddell, right? Like Chuck Liddell? It's Riddell.
Right. So, I'm not a fan of squash matches when I know both the wrestlers. I get if you squash the local talent, the enhancement talent as they call them, you should squash them. They're lucky to even have an opportunity to be on any show, and that's just wrestling tradition. But when you have Matt Riddle and Cassius Ohno, please don't make me stand up for Cassius Ohno because I don't even like him, but here we go. You should not have Matt Riddle squashing Cassius Ohno like that, Cassius. And apparently, according to some rumors there in the dirt sheets, Matt Riddle is going to be the NXT version of Brock Lesnar. So they just want to have him. This isn't going to be the last time this happens. They mean to have him kind of run through the roster untouched. Nobody's going to be able to defeat him. And it's kind of like, well, okay, fine. That happens with Brock Lesnar. I hate it. I still think it's stupid. But also, Brock Lesnar looks like he could pick up my house and throw it.
That's very,
Matt
very
Riddle does not look like that. He looks like kind of like a cruiserweight to me or something, you know?
I wouldn't say he looks like a cruiserweight. I mean, I don't know. He looks like he looks like a star to me, dude. I gotta fucking say it. He is my idea of like the modern day Kerry Von Erich. He's got the pretty boy look. He's got the big build. He has the skill. He has the athleticism. He has the mic skills. He pretty much has it all. He just needs to fine tune it, which is what he'll do during his thing in NXT. Cassius said, "Oh, they ended up turning it into a match. Bell rings, gets knocked out with a knee. I would not call it a squash match. I would call it a surprise knockout because he told him he would knock him out, and that's what it was. I mean, technically, if we're going the technicality route, yes, it was a squash match, but it was a clean surprise knockout. So, I mean,
then this part, Moses Marquez, you can only surprise an opponent like that one time. So he knocks out Cassius Ohno with that knee. Nobody saw it coming. But going forward, there's no excuse for him to ever be able to do that to anybody else again because we just have to assume that all opponents watch that tape and go, oh, okay, now I know what he does. The bell rings, he goes for a running knee. So how do you feel then when his next opponent is, let's say the one and only King Ricochet, and the match starts and he just hits him with a running knee and pins him? Then what?
No, see, the thing is I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a one-shot move. It's not going to happen again, but I think they're not going to allow it to happen. I think he's going to have a feud with Ohno, and that's going to turn it into a thing. So the next time they actually wrestle, it's going to be he's going to try to go for the knee, Ohno's going to block it, and then they're going to have a fucking awesome match because that's what happens with Matt Riddle, and then you'll never see the knee again. This was meant to go out there and be quick, boom, bang. You get really excited for Matt, and you don't feel bad for Ohno. So, I mean, I like where it's going. I really like Matt Riddle in NXT. I mean, do I see him as Brock Lesnar? No. Should he be tearing through the roster? Only if it means he's having really good matches during the whole time. I don't think he should be squashing anybody. I'm right there with you. He should not be. The only person who should be squashing anybody is Keith freaking Lee. He can squash anybody he wants. Matter of fact, he can squash everybody.
Good night, bud. Keith Lee reminds me of a Black Samoa Joe. and I am. Listen, I never watched a Keith Lee match when he was on the independent scene.
You were missing out.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. I know what you're saying is true. Just like the reality is, I missed out on Tommy End, and I missed out on Chris Hero, but when these guys came to WWE, I went back and watched their matches in the Indies and went, okay, good. Now I'm up to date on some of the best stuff, and I will do the same for Keith Lee. But I'll just tell you, from what I've seen so far, he just reminds me of Samoa Joe. But he has enough of his own gimmick that he doesn't look like some carbon copy of Joe.
Right.
But there are some similarities there. But it's not a bad thing. I think it's good. Keith Lee, he's big guy. I love the the pounce and everything, and I'm behind him. And when he came out and did what he did, I popped big for him. And I think initially I was disappointed, thinking that with Lars supposedly getting a call up soon, that there wasn't going to be any further exchange between him and Keith Lee. But looks like there is a match booked between them, so I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, you and me both. I'm a big Lars fan. I'm a little excited to see what he's going to do up on the main. I'm a little worried that he's getting pushed up to the main too quickly. But I do want to ask, do you think Raw or SmackDown, or he's headed?
I think reports on the internet suggest that he is clearly going to SmackDown, and the reason why is because they look at Lars Sullivan as the exact same character as Braun Strowman, and it just doesn't make sense to have two Strowmans on Raw. So Lars is meant to be the Strowman of SmackDown. What I find more interesting and more compelling is now that Lars Sullivan has been caught making some racial remarks on the internet, does that change things for him as far as getting called up? And does that change things for him as far as his, let's say, like going against a guy like Keith Lee? I'm sure Keith Lee heard the reports or whatever, or saw whatever, and does it now make things awkward between him and his peers?
I'm sure it does. I don't know why guys don't think before they type. That's the thing that kills me. Because you are typing, you can hit delete. There is an option to not send, but it is what it is. I mean, I don't think it's going to affect him that much. It didn't really. I mean, it affected Hogan in a big way, but at the same time, that's Hogan. He's a big name dude. You know what I mean? And then it's somebody you wouldn't think who would do that kind of thing. I mean, I'm not saying Lars is the same way, but I don't know. Maybe just because he's not such a big thing. I don't think it's going to stop a push. I don't think it's really going to stop a momentum anything. I think they're just going to keep it going. They're going to act like nothing happened, and maybe he'll just take longer to debut. But you know what I mean?
I think it's funny how the world works. What happens is people get information on you, and they don't release it. They just go. They do this thing where they go, "Not yet. Just wait for it. Wait, hold on. Just wait for it." Ladies and gentlemen, Lars Sullivan is getting ready to debut on the main roster. Now, release everything you got. Now.
Mm-hmm. Tell
the world that Lars is racist. Do everything you can. Not before, when there was something going on for him. But now that he's getting somewhere, this is the perfect time to try to bust out with this information and ruin his life. And I never get that part of it where it's like, okay, if you caught somebody with their hand in the cookie jar, and you think that they deserve to be disciplined for what they were caught doing, don't do that thing where you go like, let's wait and get them where it really hurts, because then that proves that you're not really that upset about what was said or what was done. Like people are just weird. People are weird that way, and now you want somebody to be outraged by something that happened, I don't know, however long ago, and it's kind of like, if you call yourself doing the right thing, that stuff like that should be brought up immediately. That's all I'm trying to say.
No, I'm 100% right there with you. But yeah, once you do it and you know you're gonna get caught, turn yourself in. Try to get as little heat as possible. Let the PR people handle it. That's what they get paid for. Maybe that's why he's getting pushed. Is they're like, okay, this is your way of we're gonna put you away for a while. Get this heat off you. I mean, I don't know. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I really shouldn't. But let's jump into the next match because we can go on about this whole thing because it's just like I said, it's just terrible. Guys getting a shot, this stuff comes out. You're right. It's like people wait for the perfect time just to fuck you over, and it's bullshit. It really is bullshit. But my immediate thought to the finish of this match was bullshit. But after watching it a couple times, it was perfect. It was an excellent match. Shayna Baszler, Kairi Sane have some kind of wacky chemistry together. It's like they work really well. It's odd.
Moses Marquez.
Yeah.
When that match ended, you were furious. You thought WWE missed a big opportunity to tell a much better story.
Oh, I was absolutely.
And I was sitting there. I totally marked out for the match and all the spots and but the way it ended, and when we did our prediction show, I said, listen, Shayna Baszler is not going to give the title up back, and furthermore, the Four Horsewomen will get involved, and it basically went down like that. But I had you and Ted Pitanero pegged as not particularly caring about the match. So I was a little surprised when you were so upset by the outcome. Now I want you to address before every smart mark that's listening to this episode, why did it rub you the wrong way?
You want to know why? I'm going to do the best I can to find my exact quote. But what rubbed me the wrong way is it was, while I stall for time, it just seemed like Kairi did everything to come back, and she had the perfect comeback. And I do mean that, the perfect comeback. She was able to fight off the two ladies on the side. She got a little bit of help from some awesome people from backstage. It was Io Shirai and Dakota Kai. So, I mean, she fought everybody off. It seemed to be just like the perfect thing. Everything was going right. She hits the insane elbow, but it ends up getting turned around and into a pin out of fucking nowhere. It just, like, I felt like you had the story. You had the story written out, and it was written out perfectly. It was, you can come back and beat her no matter what happens. Like, Kairi was able to overcome all this and still win. You make her the ultimate babyface like she's already not, but that gives her the push more so to the top, because you need a lead lady in NXT, and I didn't think Shayna was going to be it, but apparently it's going to be Shayna, and I just thought that was BS. I freaked out, and I just lost my shit because I just couldn't fucking believe it. I really just couldn't fucking believe it.
So WWE has this way of changing the outcomes of matches. And I think this stemmed back to a couple of years ago. I can't remember the name of the guy, but there was like a Reddit user or something like that that just kept flat out guessing the outcome to every single pay-per-view match. I mean, for months and months and months, this guy would go, this person, that person, they're going to face off against each other. Here's who's going to win, and here's how they're going to do it. So clearly somebody who had inside knowledge of the matches was telling this guy, or this guy was posing as a fan, but it was really somebody on the inside just constantly giving away the details. And so WWE started doing this thing where they were like, up until right before the guys walk out of the curtain, there was one result, and then all of a sudden, right before they walk out, they get told, we changed it up. This other guy is going to be going over now. Or sometimes even once they get down to the ring, like infamously Roman Reigns, WrestleMania, I can't remember the number, but in California, in San Francisco, or Santa Clara, he was meant to win the belt from Brock Lesnar. He had his whole family there. And right as he was walking out, he was told, just kidding, Seth is going over. And so I say all that to say this. I don't know if it's because of the money on the betting odds, or I don't know if it's just because they look at the internet chatter. But for whatever it is, sometimes these matches, the outcomes get changed at the very last moment. And I think it was a little odd, the ending, because she hit the insane elbow, and then Shayna Baszler rolled her up. There's two things wrong with that. First off, she hit the elbow.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you take the impact from the insane elbow, I get it. You're saying she then got rolled up, so it's like you countered it. But you still took the impact from the elbow. That's not really a counter. You just no-sold the elbow. And then the next thing is, if you're Kyrie, you drop the elbow, which supposedly did no damage to you and only damaged your opponent. Then you got rolled up. But since no damage was done to you during that elbow, how is it possible that you didn't kick out in time? It is odd, and we may never know the real reason, or maybe at some point we'll find out, some behind the scenes thing, similar to Braun Strowman recently not winning the championship against Brock Lesnar after Roman dropped the belt, and we're like, why? Why does Brock Lesnar have the belt again? Braun, they should just give it to Braun. But then you come to find out, well, he's got bone spurs in his elbow, and he's injured. So there's always a reason, AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. Why did Daniel Bryan randomly win the belt? AJ Styles was on a good run. Well, turns out AJ Styles is not. He's refusing to sign a new WWE contract, or the two sides haven't come to terms. Mm-hmm. And just in case he's going to leave the company in the next few weeks when his contract runs out, perhaps to go to AEW, I don't know. They said, well, just in case, we're going to put the belt on Daniel Bryan because we don't know what's happening with AJ Styles. So the story looked perfect, but who knows, Moses Marquez, what's going on behind the scenes that influenced the decision to keep the belt on Shayna Baszler.
Exactly. Well, who knows? Indeed. I want to read my exact quote because this is how strongly I felt, but I will advise you all listening that my mind did change just a tad after rewatching it a couple of times. My initial quote, November the 17th at 4:27 p.m. was, "You could have created the best comeback story in women's wrestling, and then you served me dog shit. NXT right now, I am a little disappointed in you." My exact quote, I felt that strongly about it because exactly how you said it, she hits the fucking elbow. That's it. That's her goddamn finish. How are you rolling her up when you hit the fucking elbow? Like, that was my biggest problem. I mean, like, I would have understood if, like, even if it would have made more sense, and this is my thinking right here. It would have made a lot more sense if she would have, like, hit it. It would have been 1, 2, and then, like, on the count of 3, one of the broads pulls out the ref.
Or how about this? As she goes for the elbow and Shayna Baszler gets the knees up and then rolls her up. Anything but, like,
exactly that.
I actually took the elbow and then I rolled her up, so you basically no-sold the insane elbow. It doesn't make any sense.
Or give it like a very quick, like a 2 3/4 pin, and then as you kick out, you roll her up. You know what I mean? And then here's another thing. Here's another thing I noticed after my third time watching it. She gets her shoulder up at 2.
Yes, she does, and they still count it to 3.
What?
But that part of it is less.
No.
Let me tell you why, though. Okay, I mean, for example, I watched a football game today, partially, the Cowboys versus the Redskins. where the referees just flat out blew two calls that were just so blatant, so easily. And once it was brought to their attention that they blew the call, they didn't go like, all right, then we shall do it over. They just kind of went like, yeah, that happens sometimes.
Yeah, shit
And
happens.
look at WWE, AJ Styles. AJ Styles tapped out. He was submitted by Samoa Joe while Samoa Joe's shoulders were counted as pinned for 3, and they looked at the replay and went like, nah, that's just the cost of doing business. It wasn't like somebody said, it wasn't like Shane McMahon ran out went like, no, restart the match. They just kind of went, well, there's obvious video evidence that AJ Styles tapped out before the count of 3. I mean, yeah. And so that Samoa Joe technically is WWE champion. But in other news, who cares? Moving on.
Yeah,
Why is it like that?
Why? I don't know. These refs are just like dumber than rocks, and I don't know why. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So, I mean, it happens constantly. It's not like it's, oh, this ref this time, or oh, this ref that time. No, it's like all the time. It's always some kind of ref. They miss something, like the AJ tap out during the when Samoa Joe got pinned, and the replay constantly fucking goes, and it's like you can't look up for 5 seconds and realize, holy shit, he tapped, because they're fucking showing it. They're showing their goddamn replay. Like there's that she got her shoulder up. Like I don't know. Like I said, these refs are they're not the sharpest tools in the shed by any means. But all in all, it was a very good match. Like, very good match. Like Kyrie started off hot. You thought she was just gonna pretty much go on a tear and win both, and then out come the 2 out of the 4 horsewomen. All of a sudden, Shayna gets a choke on. Kyrie taps. She's able to fight him off. Ends up hitting his elbow. Goes 1-1, and it was really good storytelling. I thought it went the perfect length of time. Not a minute too late, not a minute too long. I mean, it was excellent. It was excellent. Best women's match I've seen all year. I will say
wow. That. That's quite a claim there. Then yeah, and also I do believe that you genuinely feel that way because it got a huge rise out of you. It really pissed you off initially, and then you thought to yourself, well, I shall take a second look, and then you thought, let's go on for a third look, and that's how good it was. You wanted to make sure that you saw it from every angle. You considered all the logic that went into it, and like why did things go this way, or what could have, how it could have went differently, or what was going. You kind of like really looked at it from every angle, and the fact that it got that kind of emotional response from you, and it commanded that sort of attention from you, makes me absolutely believe it when you say it's the best women's match you've seen all year.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's my thing, especially with these pay-per-views. I like to really go deep into them and really kind of get the idea, hence why this is called the Gorilla Position. I try to give you the best of the, I guess, back behind the curtain feel, you know what I mean? Like the reasons behind moves, you know what I mean, the story behind things, just, you know what I mean, things that actually get you a part of what it is that you're watching, help you get invested in it. So I try. Let's just go with that. I try. But like I said, I did love this match. I will say that like very close was like the Toni Storm and Miko Satomura match from the Mae Young Classic. That one was excellent. The one from Evolution was also excellent. Io Shirai against Toni Storm. But this one right here, the 2 out of 3 falls, favorite so far. So, but
fantastic.
Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano, another excellent match. I said this in the pre-show, and De Niro agreed with me. This felt like a PWG match, but it had the WWE feel. So again, PWG light. It was hard hitting. It was fast paced. You knew the story through and through. That's, I think, what made it more the WWE side. PWG, there's no fucking story. They're just out there to do badass shit. And it was just excellent. It was just excellent. Like, nobody really had the upper hand. It went back and forth perfectly. There was great spots all the time. Draping DDTs, Gargano going for a tope to the outside, getting hit with a knee. It was excellent. How was the in the crowd feel during this match?
It was the kind of feel where you understand that you're a part of something amazing. By the way, so NXT. So the main roster is sports entertainment. NXT is pro wrestling, and that's why NXT is always better than main roster. And this was a professional wrestling match. There was no sports entertaining going on with Johnny Gargano and Aleister Black in the ring there. And for me, you're going PWG, I'm going New Japan. Never been to a PWG show. I have planned to go to like every show that they've ever had the past year, and I just never seem to make it.
Really
mostly because I spend a lot of money on WWE, and it stops me from being able to justify spending money at PWG. And nothing that's weird about PWG is that they're an indie company, but it's actually more expensive to go to a PWG show than it is to go to WWE.
This is true.
And I get why, because they're not servicing as many people, and so to try to make up the difference, they have to charge more per ticket. But also, come on. But point is that when I saw Johnny Gargano and Aleister Black, oh my God, bro, being in the crowd is amazing, because you understand when you're in the crowd, there's no distraction of the people calling the match. There are no ring announcers. The crowd, they're the commentators. There's something special about seeing some crazy stuff happening in front of you, and the whole arena realizes that they all feel the same thing about it. Holy shit, or just like, people, you're not even friends with these people, but like you find yourself high-fiving the people that sit behind you and grabbing the people that sit to the left of you, like, oh my God, I can't believe it either. And it's all very exciting. And I actually got some good video clips of Aleister Black kicking Johnny Gargano's face right off of his freaking shoulders, man.
No, that was it was definitely a heated crowd behind it. You can tell it just through the TV. Excellent match. It was went back and forth. Gargano loses by getting hit with 2 black masks, and it just, like I said, ended perfectly. Superior match. Speaking of superior matches, the NXT Championship match, Tommaso Ciampa, Velveteen Dream. I gotta stop, and I gotta say this. My MVP of this show is thus the Velveteen Dream. He's only 23 fucking years old. He's absolutely amazing. I marked out like crazy when he made his entrance. He is the fucking man.
I want to say that I disagree with you. Not at all. I'm in complete agreement with you on this. Velveteen Dream, the thing I like about him is he is 23 years old. That's true. But he wrestles like the wrestlers did in the 80s and the 90s, because he's long. He's a long individual, and he hasn't adopted the new style of wrestling like how people wrestle today in 2018. So you understand, when he goes up to the top rope and he goes to do an elbow drop, if you look at his form, he looks exactly like Macho Man. And the thing about wrestlers from the 80s and 90s is they weren't as fast-paced as the wrestlers from today. So Dream Dream really takes his time. He really savors the moment. And when he comes off the top rope, you really feel like he's flying, man. Like you look at him, you go like, this kid has been in the air for like 3 dadays. Is he ever gonna come down from there? You know what I mean?
No, I agree with you 1,000%. Oh, what the hell is this? Sorry about that. No, but I agree with you 1,000%. The Velveteen Dream he is a kid that he's not. He doesn't do one thing well, but he does everything good, which is not a bad thing by any means. He's got a lot of years to learn and a lot of, a lot of way to go. I am absolutely just a little bit in awe of him. So this goes out to the MVP.
Velveteen Dream.
I had to do it. Alright, that's enough. Anyway.
Dun, 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 dun.
His
yeah, man. Velveteen Dream.
How was the end? What was the feel of the crowd for his entrance?
So they passed out these bracelets up upon entering
these LED
Staples
bracelets.
Center, and they said, "Hey, when you get to your seat, there's a number on the side of the bracelet. Text this number to this number, and then pull the red tab. It'll activate the bracelet." And so when Velveteen Dream came out, the people in the control truck turned everybody's bracelet purple simultaneously. So all of a sudden, the entire crowd is lit up purple because everybody's wearing their bracelets. And when he comes down, okay, Goldust had this exact gimmick, but it wasn't. Nobody could focus on the wrestling. The only thing people could focus on was the fact that Goldust was like super gay, and it wasn't. So like
extra flamboyant is the way I'm
like
going.
it wasn't. That wasn't a good thing back then. You know, this is before a lot of people had really accepted like this has nothing to do with anything. And then so like Orlando Jordan had this exact same gimmick in Impact Wrestling. And his gimmick, everybody would look at him and go like, "Oh my God, he's so gay. This whole thing is terrible." So when Velveteen Dream came out, I thought to myself, "Oh no! First of all, I think he's amazing, but is everybody else going to be closed-minded like they were with Goldust when he first started, and like they were with Orlando Jordan? Is everybody just going to be focused on the fact that this seems like very, feminine, blah, 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 blah?" And to my surprise, I listened to some of the tough guys I know, and they're like, "I don't know, man. I'm a straight guy, but Velveteen Dream makes me feel something."
Whoa, okay. I'm not going to go that far.
It's beyond like, oh, I accept the fact that he's feminine. It's beyond, oh, he's a good wrestler. There are some guys that are like, "Man, I'm telling you, brother, if I was into that, Velveteen can get it." And I'm like, "Oh, well, look at you.
That's a
All
little,
right, man.
That's a little much. No, so here's my thing. It's a very flamboyant, a very, I don't know other way of putting it. But he, at first, and I will absolutely raise my hand and attest and just say that I absolutely did this. When he first started, I was like, "Dude, really? You're like this like ultimate gay guy? Like, this is enough." But you want to know what changed my mind? You want to know what changed my mind? Is when I want to say he wrestled, was it Cassius Ohno? When he came out in the Rick Rude pants with him on one side, or was it Aleister Black?
Aleister Black.
And then Aleister Black was on the other side. That match was incredible. His gimmick then started to make sense. He was more of a like Rick Rude-ish kind of guy. As of late, he's been paying respects to the legends of old. Hulk Hogan for sure, especially with his Hollywood gimmick as he was coming out going for life, as we all know so well.
Here's the thing about that too. But going back to what you said first, so when he first started the feud with Aleister Black, the fact that he would sit down with his legs crossed and he kept getting right in Alistair's face, and the whole thing was, there was so much like sexual overtones. You know what I mean? And it was like Alistair Black is like this deep, dark character, and Velveteen's like just oozing, just dripping sexuality all over him, and he kept doing this like, say my name thing. And so when he lost to Alistair Black, the fact that Alistair did grab that microphone and say Velveteen's name, I was like, so cool, so cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I was right there with you. But
then you got Hulkamania trying to jump on Twitter when he was I can't remember if he had just made his comeback to WWE or if he hadn't been invited back to the company yet, but he had said something along the lines of like, oh yeah, Velveteen Dream is really cool. Someday me and him could tag. And Dream kind of stalled him out and was like, no, you're not going to try to ride these coattails. You're not going to try to ride these coattails or something to that effect. And obviously they were kind of bypassing the fact that Hulk Hogan had made the racial remarks. So then when he came out wearing the Hulkamania attire, it was kind of a nod to that conversation. And I just thought, good for you. This is awesome. And again, just had that feel of like, when you looked at Velveteen Dream, you're like, this guy is a couple generations too late. Like, this guy should have been wrestling in the 80s. He's such there's not a lot of characters anymore that come across as larger than life. And if you look back at these old school wrestling clips, these guys were so big, and they made you feel like they were superheroes, And people on the roster don't make me feel that way. Like, there's nobody on the roster that I look at and go like, wow, this person is doing like, this person's a superhero. But when you look at Velveteen Dream, you look at him and you go like, wow. I don't know what to say, man. I really like that guy, and I want to see him go far and do amazing things.
no, I agree with you. I think he's going to go very far. He's very talented, and he's very young. This match was just wow. No other way of putting it. It was definitely went back and forth. It was so intense. It made you feel like all these spots where a guy possibly could get hurt actually did get hurt. There was the suplex over the top rope where Tommaso pretty much landed with Velveteen on, in a suplex position, landing on his feet. At one point, I actually thought he broke his foot, maybe his ankle. Throughout the match, you can see him actually trying to take off his boot. At one point, wrestles with one boot. Actually hits a draping DDT, and I was like, "That's it. He broke his foot. He's calling it to go home," and he actually kicked out. When Velveteen missed the elbow drop when Tommaso was draped off the apron and he hit the floor, he sold his arm like it was fucking broken. When he hit the DDT on the metal part in between the two rings, he screamed, fuck. Like, they made me believe like these guys just went out there and beat the fuck out of each other, and we're supposed to believe it was a pro wrestling match when it was just a fight. It was incredible. Incredible. Absolute 5-star match, whether it actually is or is not. In my opinion, 5-star match.
Yeah, I think it was a 5-star match, and who gives a fuck what Dave Meltzer thinks? I felt that it was a 5-star match, and one of the reasons why I thought it was a 5-star match is because there was more than one part in that match where I was like, oh my god, he's going to do it. He's going to win the belt. And that's how you know. Because if you just look on paper at like Tommaso Ciampa and you look at Velveteen Dream, I think it's very easy for people to go like, well, they're not going to let Dream win. But Dream, actually both of them were so fantastic that there were points in that match where you were like, this is happening. This is going to happen. And another indicator that Velveteen Dream was amazing, and Tommaso Ciampa, to his credit as well, is that when Tommaso won, you didn't even go like, well, I'll speak for myself. I didn't think to myself, oh, that's bullshit. When Velveteen Dream lost, I thought to myself, even though he didn't win, he won, because he consistently has one of the best, if not the best, and I believe you said that as well in our prediction show. He has the best, if not one of the best, matches on the card every time that there's a takeover. And for me, what measures whether or not Velveteen won is not if he actually got the W. It's just, did he go out there and do what Velveteen does? Yes, he did. He had another successful match. He got everybody talking again. Then it's a win. He's a guy who doesn't even need the belt. His character transcends wrestling. He doesn't have to have the belt, and he doesn't have to have gotten the W. The fact that we saw that type of performance, he won, man.
Yeah,
he's the one people can't stop talking about.
You're not wrong by any means. He does not need the belt. If he gets it, he's just gonna. He'll probably be one of those guys that actually elevates it. But yeah, he doesn't need it. He's probably the most over guy on the whole NXT brand just right now. But like I said, it was an excellent match. Tommaso ends up retaining. It was excellent. Cannot put it into better words. Going through the match would do it an injustice. Go see this fucking match. And here's my thing. I loved the War Games match. I want to get your take on it from the inside the house perspective, but in my opinion, I felt it went a little bit long. It went 47 minutes. 47 minutes. What do you think? How was it in the building? Did you like it? Did you feel it went long?
This is the War Games match?
Yes, sir.
I didn't like the War Games match at all.
Really? Not at all?
Well, let me be clear.
Okay.
Here's the problem with War Games. In order for War Games to be interesting, there has to be a lot of spots. But the way that it's set up is, okay, fine. If the match is 47 minutes, every team didn't have all of its members in the cage until probably 30 minutes in. Like, you know what I mean? It takes a long time to get everybody in there. So it kind of feels a little weird, like the Royal Rumbles in a sense, where it's like a fresh guy comes in and beats up all the guys who've been wrestling for a long time already. But there's a lot of like lying around or people just doing like very basic moves. Like when you see Ricochet live, you want to see Ricochet. But this guy's in a cage. He's not doing a lot of Ricochet type stuff. It's all very basic. It's all like mad boring. And then toward the end, there were some good spots. But overall, it was easily my least favorite match on the card. I do think that it went too long. I just think they got to change the format. Like I think if you start with everybody in the ring from the beginning, it could get way better. But this thing where everybody's got to come in one at a time and all this space in between, not a fan of that format.
Okay. So I want to ask you really quickly, have you seen a War Games match prior to it coming to NXT?
I saw one War Games match from WCW, and it was at the advice of Eric L. White, who is the belt god, and who was a huge fan of WCW and NWA and all that old school wrestling. And I gotta say, that War Games match that I saw was very entertaining. But both War Games matches that I've seen in NXT, to me, were it wasn't every other card on the NXT. I mean, every other match on the card that night was better. I'm not saying the match is trash. I'm just saying if they altered some things, the match itself could be better. Because I took some video clips, while I was there, of the fun spots. But it's like let me explain to you like this. When I think of War Games, You know when you see a movie, you see like a preview for a movie, Moses Marquez,
No,
and you go like, "Oh, the previews look so good. I gotta go see that movie, right?" And then you go see the movie, and then somebody after goes like, "Hey, you saw such and such. What'd you think of it?" And then you go like, "Well, as it turns out, the previews, those were all the best parts in the movie. The rest of it kind of sucked."
I've had that experience a couple of times. Like I said, I'm not gonna go as far as say that it was like my. No, you know what? I'll say it. It was my least favorite match of the night. But I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I thought it was a little bit better than last War Games, but not by much. It. I mean, it was all in all, it was really good. I mean, it's very. It's typical War Games. You start with a couple of guys and you build it, you build it, you build it. It's just meant to fucking go all day long, and it's a pain in the ass. I would love an idea of it being just like a giant team versus team in a 2-cage thing, whatever, and it be like an elimination match. You know what I mean? Like that, I think could work a little bit better. Could make it more modern. But you know what the fuck do I know? I'm just some fucking slackjaw.
No, you're absolutely right. I was going to say the same thing. Imagine how much you elevate the match if you remove the cages, because that's such an unnecessary gimmick. You take those cages away, and you just go back down the one ring, and you just have like a 5-on-5 or 4-on-4 or whatever it was, 4-on-4. You just have like an 8-man tag match, elimination style or straight up, whatever. Imagine how much different it gets now. Because, dude, we've seen Undisputed Era in these tag team matches. They are awesome. It's awesome every time. But that's just it, man. It's like sometimes, okay, listen, when you go get barbecue in Texas, you know what they tell you?
What's that?
We don't put barbecue sauce on the barbecue is just the meat on the grill, and we serve it like that. If you try to put barbecue sauce on it, we're going to kick you out of our restaurant. It's like, why? Because it's good enough on its own. It doesn't need to be enhanced by the sauce. And Undisputed Era and Ricochet and Pete Dunne, their barbecue, and then the cages and the War Games concept, that's the sauce. It's not needed. It actually makes it worse. It tastes good enough on its own. And when you start putting condiments on it, you can't taste the meat anymore. Now you're just tasting the barbecue sauce, and that defeats the purpose. Also, I'm hungry.
First off, that was the greatest analysis that got me hungry as well I've ever heard. That was perfect. I mean, yeah, War Games is totally unnecessary. It's just their way of trying to bring old stuff back. I get it. It's good, whatever. But like I said, I enjoyed the match. It went too long. Every time Adam Cole's on top of the cage, he looks scared out of his fucking mind. He's just like
Yes.
clawing for life. He's, oh my god, dude, I'm gonna fucking fall. It's like, bro, like we get it. Like I don't like heights either, but I mean, he just freaked out. Ricochet doing his double backflip or whatever off the top, and fucking nobody catches him. You're just kind of hoping he fucking lands on his feet. Like,
I got that on video, by the way. I'll send it to you.
But I mean, and I'll be looking forward to it. But like the thing that kills me is like you're doing that shit. You know nobody's gonna be able to fucking catch you. Why are you doing that shit?
He's Ricochet, man. I look at Ricochet, and I look at him and Will Ospreay are just basically Ospreay is just the white Ricochet, and Ricochet is just the white Ospreay. Like, those two are cut from the same cloth. They're the exact same guy. They're like
you're not that wrong. I mean, I feel like Ricochet has a little bit more charisma than Will Ospreay, and I feel like Will Ospreay is a little bit more technically sound all around than Ricochet is. But no, they're very similar, cut from the similar cloth, the whole nine.
That does make me sad that Ricochet really sucks on the mic, because damn, is he good in that ring. Like, the stuff that he can do, there's no way. Like, no, you're not human. By the way, not for nothing, but my son is asleep on the couch, and I just watched him pee on the couch in his sleep. I'm sorry. That was really weird. Like I just out of the corner of my eye, I just like, what's going on? And he's completely asleep, and just a fountain just came out of him. Anyways,
that's
so
dad life for real.
Yeah, that's rough, man. But Ricochet, yeah, he grabs the mic, and it's like he sounds like this kid from the country, and he's not intimidating at all.
No.
But it's kind of like, I don't get it. You're in pro wrestling. You can't put on a voice. You can't put on a character. I don't know. It's weird. You know what else? I'm not a fan of Pete Dunne on the microphone. Pete Dunne, I kind of feel like he's not. Maybe don't grab the mic. Just kind of be the bruiserweight. But every time Pete Dunne starts talking, I'm like, oh no.
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of his mic work either. Like I said, Ricochet definitely needs a lot of help with that. Pete Dunne, I want to say it's a little bit better, but that's not saying much. Hanson and Rowe, those guys are awesome. I mean, they've cut a handful of promos, so I can't really judge it. They're great as a tag team. I love their entrance music. It's, they're a star team. They're a big man team waiting to be called up by Vince because, goddammit, they're huge. So, I'm just surprised Dozovich is still in NXT. But, I mean, all in all, this is a definite 2 thumbs up worthy NXT takeover. A fucking 4 out of 5, if you will, a fucking 9 out of 10, whatever the hell you want to claim it. It was really good. I enjoyed the entire show from top to bottom, and like I said, upon further review, it was absolute quality. Now the next show, I was really afraid, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I was really afraid because shows after a takeover do not have a good track record. They end up being a bad show. And by a bad show, I mean, why the fuck did I watch this show? That's how bad they can be. But it was a rough start, and then it definitely smoothed out. So to get through the rough start, it was the women's 6... Okay, I'm going to stop. Talk about the SmackDown tag team, or not the SmackDown, but the Survivor Series tag team one that was on the fucking pre-show that we got told by Michael Cole later on in the show it doesn't count, that SmackDown won. How was that show? I technically, like I said, I didn't watch it. I don't watch the pre-show. How was it? Was it well received? I mean, I know you guys can probably tell. I know from my experience, you can tell like dark matches or pre-show matches. How was it to the crowd?
All right, here's the problem with the pre-show. A lot of people aren't even in the building yet. You understand what I'm saying? So these matches happen with a half-empty arena. Now, here's what's going on with me. So it was my understanding that the doors opened up at 3 o'clock. That's the information that I got. Now, my wife and I met up with Moni Lynn and her husband, Robert
nice
Diaz.
Prediction shows outside the restaurants or whatever.
Yeah, her cousin there, Jesse Savage, and her little cousin and his wife, and so we're out there doing predictions and everything like that. And then we went over to a Five Below and bought some WWE action figures, all of us, and kind of hung out. And we got some Minchie's yogurt, blah 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 blah. And then I went, all right, let's head to Staples. And she's like, all right, I shall follow you because you know where the $10 parking is. And I said, great. As I was pulling into the parking structure, I got a notification that Eric L. White was going live in RWT. And I'm like, oh, he's probably just excited that he's, in his seat already. But I clicked the video, and it's New Day standing in the ring. And I was like, wait, is this from today? What's going on? Why are they in the ring? Because first of all, I didn't even know their match was on the pre-show. So I was thinking, what is happening right now? And then I very quickly realized their match was on the pre-show, and their match had already started. And I was like, wait, doors don't even open until 3? And that was wrong. The doors had opened up at 2. And the pre-show had already started, and we were barely going to get parking. And would you believe that by the time we got inside, the match was over? So I didn't see it at all. I have nothing to say.
Just when I was like, he's totally got something to say about it, I messed it up.
I did hear from a couple of people in the RWT group that it should have been match of the night, which makes me even more sad that I missed it. But I gotta admit it, man. I've never missed a match in all the WWE events I've gone to. I've always been right there when the doors opened up, and this time I just got a little bit of bad information, or I don't know, I assumed some things that weren't true, however it went, and I missed that match. I'm sorry to say it.
Well, it is what it is. SmackDown gets a win that, again, Michael Cole fucking negates later on in the show like an ass because he sucks at his job. Anyway, let's go with the Women's Survivor Series match. Nia Jax, Sasha Banks, Mickie James, Bayley, Tamina, taking on Asuka, Sonya Deville, Naomi, Carmella, Mandy Rose. Everybody fucking hates Nia. They booed her for anything she did. She waved, they booed. She got in the corner, she booed. She got in the ring, they booed. She threw a punch, they booed. They fucking hate her. It was awesome.
Let me tell you something. I've been going to a lot of live shows in the past 2 years. The only time I've ever heard boos comparable to that is when Roman Reigns comes out. And when Nia came out, the crowd booed so heavily, my seat was shaking. I mean, it was like, oh my God. And I even made a video with the boos and with my reaction to it. It was insane. But one of the things I loved is, Nia Jax, she kind of has a history of being, like in real life, a sensitive person because people have said things about her weight and have attacked her personally. And who knows how she really felt about it on the inside. But to see the way she handled it in the ring, where she was kind of like, oh, well, and I don't care what y'all think, and blah, blah, blah. I was like, good for her. And because, like Vince McMahon is loving it because to him, boos aren't bad. Boos are a reaction. And any reaction means that you've done something right.
That's how he looks at him. Any reaction is a good reaction. He'll take it for what it was. This match was kind of crap. It just kind of went through it. I mean, Nia looked strong. But that was kind of the point. Mickie looked good. Mickie versus Asuka looked like a good match. I wish I kind of saw that a little more. Mandy Rose looked excellent, especially while working with Mickie James. It just, everybody got a little bit of good work in. Carmella gets her dance break in, which is sometimes I think it's cool, and a lot of times I really fucking hate it. But, I mean, all in all, it was a match. It was there. And, I mean, yeah. Nia didn't kill anybody, so she didn't maim anybody. She didn't break anybody's face.
The fact that she won the whole match, oh, God, people were incensed by it. I thought a riot was going to start. I really thought somebody was going to jump the barricade and try to physically attack Nia. It was rough. It was rough out there. But speaking of Carmella, I did enjoy her dance break, and her partner, R-Truth, I enjoyed him and the bits that he did throughout the night. I love the whole, I'm confused, I never know what's going on thing. He's just freaking hilarious, and so good for R-Truth that at his age, he's still making money. He's still finding ways to be useful in the WWE, and he doesn't even necessarily have to get in the ring and wrestle.
No, I agree with you. It's awesome. He could still go if he really needs to. He still has all the athleticism, and with all the time he's taken off, he definitely allowed him to get a little bit better. But, no, I'm right there with you. I love his little skits. I think it's awesome. Yeah, anything to keep him relevant. But speaking of awesome, in a match I kind of thought was going to go the other way, it was the Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins taking on the U.S. Champion Shinsuke Nakamura in a very good match. They try to make it as WWE approved yet somewhat New Japan, or I guess just Japanese style in general. And for the most part, it worked. It had its safe parts, but Seth looked awesome. Nakamura looked awesome. They let them do their thing. There was no heat from Ambrose, which I really appreciated. Just all in all, excellent.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, that's the thing that really surprised me and made it feel more New Japan and less WWE, because WWE is so gimmicky. Do you understand? Like, that's the problem with sports entertainment. It's mad gimmicky. Everything is like, oh, somebody's definitely going to come in and ruin this match, as opposed to like just having two guys go straight up. And so when the match ended and there was no sign of Dean Ambrose at all, I was like, wow, I'm legitimately shocked. I'm happy though. I would have had Nakamura going over Seth. That's just me. But I gotta say, it was a great match, and the last little exchange I thought was super cool. And the fact, I'm with you, the fact that Ambrose didn't come out and it just ended in a proper way with a proper winner, I was like, good for you, WWE.
No, like I said, it was a good move. You could have easily have used Dean to get extra heat, but that's the problem. That's been the problem for a long time. They feel like the only way to get anybody over is heat. Every Monday, every Tuesday, heat. It's annoying. Heat is necessary. Yes, I will not deny that. I will not deny that heat is necessary. But not everybody in the fucking business needs to get heat on everybody all the fucking time. It becomes a little redundant and a little just asinine. Like, it just becomes, it's not necessary. It's just not necessary. But excellent match nonetheless. I will jump off the pissing all over WWE for a second. But speaking of pissing, AOP against the Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro. Fuck the match. Why did they kill this man? Yes, he works well as a manager. He interfered in the match. I understand the Bar's manager is the Big Show. They choke him. He obviously has a device in his pants to make him pee. It makes him pee himself. What? What the fuck am I watching?
I have a difficult time feeling like they killed his character, because I kind of feel like the opposite. This actually puts him in rare company. This actually makes him more elite, because the only other person that I can think of that peed himself on camera in WWE was Vince McMahon himself. And so if you are in a category that only exists with you and Vince, well, then there you go. Maybe you did something right. And plus, the look on Big Show's face was worth it for me. The look on the fact that I was able to take a picture of it and make an awesome meme was also another great thing for me. But for me, the bigger thing that happened during that match is the crowd started losing their mind when a gentleman in a white hoodie and a brown wig on jumped up and took off those items and exposed himself as being Enzo Amore.
That's right, bada boom. Realest douchebag in the room. How you pooping?
How you doing? How you doing there? And he just jumped up and kind of went like, how you doing? Everybody went like, oh my God, it's Enzo Amore. And I was like, oh my God, is that Enzo Amore? Like, oh my God, like, what is he even doing here? So embarrassing. And so it just got really weird, really fast. And then he got snatched up by a female guard. Now, listen, there's nothing that makes you look like not the most realest guy in the room than being snatched off of a chair by, which wasn't even like a tough person. She just, I guess you don't have to be very tough to reel in that chihuahua. So she snatched him down. He didn't even get his commemorative chair that he paid to take with him. And I thought the whole thing was very, very sad, because ultimately, we didn't know why it was happening at the time, but apparently the point of him doing that was, he's got a rap album. So he went like, how can I make people listen to my album? Oh, I know. I'll show up at a WWE event and embarrass myself. And so as he's being drug out by security, not the entire crowd, just the crowd where he was sitting starts chanting, "Let him stay, let him stay." But he gets drug out, and then the match continues. And at a certain point, everybody on the right side goes, "We want Enzo." And everybody on the left side goes, "No, we don't."
That was the greatest chant ever.
So it just kept going back and forth. "We want Enzo. No, we don't." And even though I was sitting on the right side, I was like, I'm with those guys on the left. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Enzo Amore, but I just think you're embarrassing yourself, man. Please, like, you're like the desperate ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend, who pops back up at you pop up at your ex's wedding or at their house and their family's there, and you're going, "Please take me back. Can't we just talk about this?" But they have their new boyfriend or girlfriend, and you just look pathetic. And I can't watch stuff like that in movies. Moses Marquez, like, I feel embarrassed for the character, and it was even worse in real life. Yeah, Enzo just ruined it. That few seconds I had to see him in that desperate situation made me super sad.
No, when I noticed him, I was like, what in the fuck is he doing? I was like, please tell me. I at first thought they were going to sign him. But then when I saw him and they immediately cut the camera, I was like, oh shit, he fucking invaded this place. He ain't supposed to be here. They kick him out. It was the same security guard that blocked Gronk from WrestleMania 33, I think, when he was trying to hop the barricade and tackle fucking Jinder Mahal. That was the same security guard. So she can handle Gronk. She's definitely throwing fucking Enzo's rat-looking ass around. But, I mean, he did it during a match where nobody gave a shit. So you garnered no attention because you waited for the wrong time. You're an idiot. Nobody extra showed up to his show. Apparently his show didn't even sell out. And he is a crappy rapper.
He is crappy, and he's doing this weird thing where he then stands on stage in the middle of the show and talks and like rants about WWE, which again looks pathetic. And he has a song that he wrote about Liv Morgan, which makes him look pathetic. Everything he's doing right now, it's not a good look. It's all one giant bad look, and it's kind of like, hey man, I know you think that you've gone too far to turn back now, but when it comes down to the fact that you're just embarrassing yourself, it's okay if you go, you know what, that's enough embarrassment for now.
Yeah, one of these days it needs to be enough. But speaking of the belt he used to hold, why I still don't know, the Cruiserweight title, Buddy Murphy, Mustafa Ali, in what was a very good match. I'm not going to say it was excellent. I'm not going to go as far as saying it was like awesome. It was very good. There was a lot of spots where I felt Buddy Murphy was awesome. He didn't need to land on his head a couple times. Mustafa Ali is very in tune with what he can do and do well. It was like I said, it was very good. Was not disappointed. I would even say it was like a 3.5, maybe even like a 4-star match. It was that good. But these guys need to watch what they're fucking doing and stop landing on their goddamn neck.
I thought, listening to the crowd, it was, I don't know how to explain the cruiserweight matches except for like, cruiserweight matches are like a firework display. It's a lot of like, ooh, ah, wow, this all looks amazing. But for some reason, most people then will not go watch 205 Live, even though every time the cruiserweights come out, they do amazing things that the regular, like the bigger guys don't do, and everybody's amazed by it, but never enough to actually start watching that product. And well, I thought the match was great. Where the match fell short for me is there was never any point where I believed Mustafa Ali could actually win the belt. And that's why the Velveteen Tommaso Ciampa match was so great, because if you recall, there was 2 spots that I mentioned where I was like, he's gonna do it, but that never happened with Mustafa Ali. The entire time I was like, he's definitely not gonna win, and also he got beat up a lot in that match.
No, you're not wrong. It was a lot of back and forth. He took a hell of a beating. I mean, you're absolutely right. As good of a match as this was compared to the other one, you had those moments where it's like, holy shit, Velveteen's gonna win. Like you knew deep down it was probably gonna be a no, but that gave you the hope it was gonna be there. I never got that hope from Mustafa Ali, but I mean, great match. The Juggernaut, Buddy Murphy, doing great things. I wonder who he's working with next. That seems to be the only problem they have at 205 Live is who can they feed next to Buddy Murphy, who's actually going to put up, a bit of a show. So let's jump to the Survivor Series match, which I thought was just crap. Overall crap. Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor taking on The Miz, Shane McMahon, Rey Mysterio, Jeff Hardy, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe gets beat in the first 15 seconds. What?
And the crowd was livid. The crowd was
Dude,
livid. They
fucking
started
livid.
chanting, "This is bullshit."
It's a LA native, or I want to say like a Long Beach native.
Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach, excuse me. And not 30 seconds into a match, not even 20 seconds into a match. Power slammed 1, 2, 3. What the fuck?
What the fuck? How is this a question in your mind, Moses Marquez? Let me tell you something. The longest running rib in wrestling history is the hometown hero always gets the really shitty end of the stick. If it's your hometown, I guarantee you something bad's going to happen to you that night. It happens like that every single time with the hometown hero. In fact, the last time I was with the hometown hero, it was earlier this year, maybe last year, I can't remember the date, in San Jose, which is where I will be next month for TLC. But when I was there last time, it was Payback. This was the same night that they had the House of Horrors match with Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. But before that match took place, there was a match between Alexa Bliss and hometown hero Bayley, who was the women's champion at the time. She lost the belt that night and hasn't seen it since, because that's what happens when you're the hometown hero. You get your ass kicked. And Joe, it may not have been in Huntington Beach, but it's as close to being hometown as you're going to get to him, for him. And so when he lost quickly, it's just a quick math of, I'm Vince McMahon, and I believe that any reaction is a good reaction. Now, we know Joe is not going to win this thing because we have somebody else slated to win. So all we care about is how much reaction can we get. Well, if like two people lose before Joe and then he loses, people may be upset. But what's really going to piss people off? Oh, I know. Let him get beat in like about 20 seconds. Then we get our big reaction, and we can move on with our night. And so that's what happened. It wouldn't have worked anywhere else. It could only work in Los Angeles because he's basically the hometown hero. And per how they usually write the stuff, every hometown hero gets their ass kicked in their hometown. It could go no other way.
That is absolutely ridiculous, but you're not wrong. It's just, I'm not a fan of it. I feel like they could definitely change it up, make it a little bit better, but again, what do I know? I'm just some freaking jabron. But Drew McIntyre looked like a fucking machine in this match, as he should. They are hoping to push him to the moon and back because he deserves it. I mean, he's a hardworking guy. He's got the look. He's got the body. He's got the skills. He has it all. Drew McIntyre, a future Universal, if not WWE champion. They just start picking guys off. Finn versus Ray looked good for the little bit of time that we had it. Even Dolphin Ray looked pretty good for the little bit of time that we had it. Shane with the worst worked punches in all of sports. I mean,
oh my God.
I have no real positive things to say about this match other than Drew McIntyre looked like a beast.
Here's something positive. When Shane McMahon attempted to hit the second coast to coast, Braun Strowman jumped up and just treated him like a fly. Like, Braun used his hands like a fly swatter and just knocked Shane out of the air. That was awesome.
No, it was awesome. He totally just he kills the poor fucker Last year he did it and got a concussion from getting a spear from Roman Reigns. So it's like you're doing this again. And then the funny thing is he hits the first one and he already looks dead. He shouldn't be fucking doing one. And then fucking The Miz, come on, man. Get your ass up there. Let's go, man. He's fucking dead. The guy's dead. He's got nothing left. You're fucking forcing this old man, this almost 50-something-year-old man, to fucking do a coast-to-coast where you're pretty much just taking the heat of the fucking bump and you're just crashing a little bit into a trash can so the guy can sell it like you fucking murdered him. Like, get out of here. Like, why am I doing the second one? But nope, the fucking Miz, like an asshole. Come on, you gotta do it. And this is supposed to make a babyface? That's supposed to make him a babyface?
What it's supposed to do, its intended purpose, Moses Marquez, is that Shane McMahon has made it very clear there's only been one time in his life, and that was recently when he went off the top of that Hell in a Cell. That's the only time that he's ever walked back to the back after a match and Vince McMahon hugged him and gave him the, that a boy. Good job out there. Other than that, anything he's ever done, Vince has never hugged him, and he's always been envious when the wrestlers have come back to the back and Vince hugs them and says thank you or good job, because it took him until that Hell in a Cell match with Kevin Owens before he got a pat on his first, pat on the back or whatever. So I think what happens now is that now that he's got the one pat, he's working on number two. And so he's going to go out there and try to kill himself every time and just walk back to the back or be carried, however it works out, and see if Vinnie Mac gives him the old nod of approval.
Yeah, let's hope so with that. But I'm also not going to hold my fucking breath. I mean, like I said, throwaway match. Shane needs to go away. He needs to go away. Like, when he comes back to TV seems to suck. And then he automatically puts himself in these fucking matches, which I know it's the part of the storyline, but it's very dumb, and it makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a fan. I was happy when Shane McMahon came back. I'm a fan of him as an authority figure. Not a fan of him as a wrestler, especially when his punches have been terrible since 1993. And I just think that
is fact.
Yeah, he's got to step aside and let somebody else be highlighted who wouldn't otherwise have a chance. Because after all, SmackDown Live is the land of opportunity. And hell, Shane McMahon, you're the best in the world. What else do you have to prove?
He has to prove everything. Anything and everything that he can prove, he must prove it. Ooh, excuse me, because that's what he does, I guess. He's just a fucking lunatic. But speaking of lunatics, and I don't mean to put it like that, but what I will put is this awesome match, and that Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey. Let me just start off by saying, when I was first watching this match, I legit felt like I was watching an old Ric Flair match. The way Charlotte was wrestling reminded me of her dad. And no, I don't mean that in a way where it's like, oh, she's, I have friends that joke, oh, yeah, she wrestles just like her dad and looks like him too, and ha ha ha, and it's like, yeah, it's funny. No, she legit wrestled like her dad. She had, was very fluid in the ring. Everything she did made sense. She was joint manipulatives. She took advantage everywhere she could. She showed Ronda pro wrestling is different from what you're trying to learn. She schooled her for the most part. Ronda's able to get her Hulk spot, comes back, and it just turns into a great story. Ronda does botch a spot. She's going to get thrown into the ropes, missteps, ends up eating the bottom turnbuckle. They work through it. As Charlotte has Ronda on the mat, she goes to I don't think she actually goes to intentionally hit her in the face. I think she tries to go up over her head, doesn't get her elbow over, just clean, just busts Ronda right in the mouth. She starts gushing blood from the mouth. As Ronda's starting to heat up and catch her hulking up, she gets cut in half by one of the best spears I've seen in years. And it just was awesome. Ronda just can't be stopped. She's going for the Braun Strowman run around the ring and tackle you spot, and then just eats a kendo stick. And that's when the melee begins. I pop like crazy. My girlfriend pops like crazy. Ronda's getting beat senseless. She's getting hit with kendo sticks, getting beat with a chair. She gets fucking pilmerized, for crying out loud. I will not get into the furious state I was in when she cut a normal promo the following night, but she was pilmerized and left for dead. I loved every second of this match.
I loved every second of it too. And here's something to be said about it. You know a match is good when at the completion of it, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Texas Rattlesnake himself, jumps on Twitter and says, "You just brought back pro wrestling."
No, you're absolutely. It was incredible.
And what I was surprised about, though, was that two things. One, how quickly the crowd sided with Charlotte, and two, the fact that they turned their back on Ronda Rousey, because I think people just kind of felt like, well, I have to choose a side. Either I'm with Ronda or I'm with Charlotte, but that wasn't the case. It's like you can enjoy the fact that this happened without then booing Ronda Rousey, who you literally were just cheering. But I did like the fact that while they were happy for what Charlotte did, the crowd still chanted Becky's name. So it's like, oh, don't think just because now you've had a heel turn that all of a sudden we're gonna forget about our martyr, which is Becky Lynch. So the crowd, well, Charlotte initially thought they were cheering for her. The crowd started going like, Becky, Becky, and brought her back down to earth. Like, these are Becky Lynch's loyal fans right here. This whole freaking show belongs to her right now, and you did a good job, but you're no Becky Lynch.
No, by no means is she Becky Lynch. She's trying. She is trying her absolute hardest to be Becky Lynch, though. I will admit that. But let's just keep it real. It's not going to happen. Yeah, it's Becky's loved right now, okay? She's loved for more than the Nia incident. She was loved prior to the Nia incident, and this has only got her further along, more so. But it was great. This match was great. The story was great. Ronda looks pissed at the end. It worked perfectly. Rumors are speculating that because this match was so good, it's now looking like they're going to go down this direction for WrestleMania, Ronda versus Charlotte, to give, I guess, Ronda a little bit of payback. I still really want to see Becky and Ronda, so if we can make that happen, either way, I don't give a shit. Can we just do great matches? Because that's what I'm loving right now. When you give me great matches like this match, like the Mustafa Ali, Buddy Murphy match, I pay attention. I enjoy the shows. And when I enjoy the shows, I can't wait for the next show. It's a very simple concept, WWE. Learn it.
I feel the exact same way, man. And I think that Becky Ronda is still going to happen. I believe it's either slated for... well, there's no timeline for Becky's return right now, so it wouldn't be slated for TLC, but I think it is slated for Royal Rumble, and I think it's going to be a ton of fun. So I do hope it happens by Rumble or before, because I want to be able to see the match live and in person, and then also having Charlotte attack Ronda Rousey just ensure that they will have a match in the future. So and it's likely going to be at WrestleMania. So just kind of be prepared for that as well. Also, a little backtracking of Becky Lynch, who had hugged Charlotte Flair, where she said, you go get Ronda Rousey and make her tap her out the same way I would have tapped her out. And then she gave a hug to Charlotte. Yet after Charlotte attacked Ronda Rousey and stuff like that, Becky went on Twitter and again went back to disparaging Charlotte and talking smack about her. So I thought to myself, good, the man is still the man.
Yes, the man is very much still the man. Yeah, like I said, it's just I'm very much looking forward to the future to see where this whole thing goes. But let's jump into the main event. That was just, it started out exactly how I thought it was going to go, and then completely took a 180 and turned into one of the best matches I've seen all year. Brock Lesnar, Daniel Bryan, champion versus champion. God, how can I put this? Daniel starts off early. He gets a leg drop kick to the knee, is able to outrun Brock, just running, showing off his speed, making fun of his dance, just being an overall prick, which is what Daniel does. He's very good at it. And then Brock finally gets a hold of him, and it's not a clothesline. It was exactly what they called it, a fucking clubbing blow. Just lays out Daniel. Daniel starts getting suplexed left and right. The first one, I feel like he was trying to flip over and make it and just sell it like crazy, and ends up landing on his neck. It scared the fuck out of me. And I was like, he's done right there. That's his injury again. He is done. We're never seeing him again. And then he gets suplexed, and then suplexed, and then suplexed, and then suplexed. And you thought it was the same old story of every Brock Lesnar match. He's going to go in there, he's going to manhandle you, he's going to pin you, and he's going to go home. But that's not what happened. He hits an F5, and then he picks him up a 2. And he's sitting there, and he's toying with Daniel. And as he goes for a second F5, of course, the ref stands in the way, gets hit. The ref takes a bump. Daniel finally has a chance. He does what every man would do when put in a corner by a beast. He kicks that beast in the balls with all of his might, screaming, "That's my purse. I don't know you." And then hits the running knee, picks up a 2 count, which we all believed was going to happen. And then the fire in Daniel Bryan comes out, and it takes over. He starts hitting leg kicks, and he starts hitting the yes kicks, and he starts stomping on Brock's head, and he starts working on Brock's knee. And when Brock picks him up for an F5, he collapses because that knee gives out. He puts him in the yes lock. And this is where I love Brock Lesnar. Most of the times I hate him, but the way he sold this yes lock made me believe he was going to tap. Was that the feeling in the building? Emir?
Yes, sir.
Was that the feeling in the building that just when the yes lock was on and you felt like from at home you could see it in Brock's eyes? The yes lock was in deep. He had a deep omoplata locked in, and it looked like it could beat Brock. Was that the feeling in the building? Did they feel like Brock was going down?
I felt that he was going down. So the camera zooms in close to him, like right up on base, and Brock Lesnar looked like he was in panic mode. And here's the thing. Brock doesn't give anything to his matches lately. This was the best match I've seen and Brock in a long time as far as the effort he gave. So he actually starts waving his hand and doing the whole I might tap thing. And I was like, oh my God, he could do it. For Daniel Bryan could win. Again, that's the key element here. If there's some point in the match where you make me believe that the other guy could possibly win, then damn, that was a good match. So I'm thinking, oh my God, he's gonna submit Brock Lesnar, and this is gonna be crazy. And then Brock reaches up and just pulls his hands down. It took no effort at all. And I was like, that sucks. And then Daniel Bryan immediately put it back on him. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And so, the beginning of the match starting the way it did was terrible. It was like every other Brock Lesnar match. And it just kind of felt like Daniel Bryan was being punished for not going to Saudi Arabia. And I just thought to myself, why? Event after event, why did they give us the same crappy match? And when it actually picked up and turned into something, it was a pleasant surprise. And I kind of felt like the weekend was full of pleasant surprises from WWE. This was one of them. My favorite thing about the heel Daniel Bryan character is he's like sitting on the ground. His eyebrows are raised. His tongue is hanging out of his mouth. And he just kind of has that look. He has a very mischievous look in his eyes. Like, all right, what bad shit am I going to try next? You know what I mean? Brock Lesnar felt like the underdog in that match at a certain point. And I thought that was good and that the match was booked well. And so I didn't mind. I hated the beginning. I loved the middle. And I was willing to accept the end because they gave a lot of good stuff in the middle when they typically don't.
No, I agree. They definitely gave a lot in the middle. That's for sure. I wanted to put it a different way. I wouldn't say like. What am I trying to say here? Like I wouldn't say. Like I felt like it was Brock and Brock all the way. Like there was no way that Brock was not gonna win, but he obviously did. But they gave Daniel so much. It made it more believable. Like when Brock fought AJ had a shot from the jump. A lot of people thought that he was gonna have a shot. And for the most part, he stayed in the match most of the time, and just kept pretty much going toe to toe with Brock. Ended up coming up the loser, which is okay. In this one, it looked like Bryan had no shot. It looked like Bryan was going to be fed to the wolves. He was not fed to the wolves. He actually came out looking very strong, looking like a hunter himself, to the point where Brock actually looked at him and said, "Fuck." That was competition. That was a hell of a main event. I went absolutely crazy. It was a fine show. It was a really good show. I enjoyed it. But yeah, those two, the semi-main and the main event, absolutely made the show, in my opinion. Do you agree?
I think that, those last two matches, the last two events that happened, this is the first time in a long time, Moses Marquez, that I've seen people leave a main roster pay-per-view with the expression, send them home happy. WWE is not super good at sending them home happy.
No, they're not.
WWE is kind of good at sending people home pissed off, wondering why they wasted their money and time coming to the event. But this time, they sent the people home happy. And the last two matches were fantastic. Both, what a surprise, Charlotte turning heel, and what a surprise, Daniel Bryan actually getting a decent match out of Brock Lesnar. And so I enjoyed it thoroughly. My wife enjoyed it thoroughly. And I really hope they're able to keep the momentum up and continue to produce stuff that's worth watching, because I was like, this is good. I hope they keep doing this, and not that we'll get into it tonight, but it's worth noting that the next night on Raw was good enough that the Butcher, who is a man that is sworn to never watch Raw again, not only did he watch it, but he actually raved about how good it was. And I thought to myself, is the tide changing, Moses Marquez, in WWE? Are they finally understanding that when people at WrestleMania began to chant, "This is boring," and preferred playing with beach balls to watching another Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns match. Is Vince finally hearing somebody? Is there a new writer? Like, what's different that they actually had a good main roster pay-per-view and then Raw the next night was actually good? There's something happening here, right?
No, there's a lot good happening. That's for sure. The dynamic is changing. It's changing, not drastically, but it is slowly but surely changing. And for right now, it's all for the good. But we will see as things change. We'll see as they make their move to Fox how that'll improve storytelling, production, God knows what. Hopefully more talent gets over. Hopefully we'll see an array of more talent, guys like Daniel Cormier maybe coming to the WWE. Things like that. But as I go here and I look at this level thing, we've been going on for almost 2 hours. And, it is
almost 2 hours.
1:30 in the morning. This is real radio, folks. So let's get some plugs in and let's get you out of here so you can get some much-needed rest on this no longer Thanksgiving Day.
That's right. 1:29 in the morning on a Friday. And as far as plugs, RWT, Raw Wrestling Talk, is a Facebook group that officially has 3,338 members in it, and we've added close to 50 people in the last 3 days. So all of a sudden,
every day, and I gotta say it's awesome.
Yeah, it's starting. All of a sudden, people are starting to notice the group again. So good. Now what we got to get is some more people to subscribe to the RWT YouTube channel. That would be fantastic. And what I'm trying to do is to create content that's going to drive people to subscribe. So we got coming up in December is RWT Road Trip. And when I'm going to all the wrestling shows that I'm going to, I document all of it, from me buying the tickets to, when I get in the car to leave, or any controversies of me almost not getting to go or things that didn't work out, videos taken, on the way to the show, during the show, after the show. I just document it all. And I'm going to begin to put each trip into its own individual episode. And it's going to be called RWT Road Trip. The first one debuts at the beginning of December. And it will be, I don't know. It has to be one of the shows that I saw earlier in the year. But it's going to be a bunch of fun. And then the only other thing that's really important right now is starting in a couple of days after I talk to Daz, I will begin to announce, finally, the RWT Awards and the nominees. And for each one that I announce, you will be able to click the link below and vote who you want to win in the category. And all of that will culminate, every award that's announced and all the nominees and all the voting will culminate January 1st, 2019, and a full RWT Awards show being presented on the RWT YouTube channel and in the RWT group. And people can watch the show and see if they won the awards, and everybody who won will have the chance to receive an actual custom-made RWT award in the mail. So that's what I got going. Marquez, how about you?
Well, for shameless plugs, we of course have this show, which you can find on both the SoundCloud station, soundcloud.com/SmartMarkRadio, or of course you can find it on the RWT YouTube page, which you should subscribe to because all these great shows are on there. Some of them I will be sharing on the SoundCloud station, like a show I will be uploading later, probably this morning. Is going to be the RWT UK show with our man Mikey Beza. I've listened to a couple of them so far. He's great. I don't get all the time in the world to watch the NXT UK shows, but he definitely makes me want to watch them more. So that will be up there for your listening pleasure. You can always check out any updates going out on Twitter for Smart Mark Radio, and that's at SmartMarkR for Smart Mark Radio on Twitter. I hope the Gorilla Position will be in the running for Podcast of the Year for the RWT Awards because, well, I'm just that cocky. I must win. But other than that, I think that's about it. I mean, I'm hoping to push out another episode of Smart Mark Radio News later on this week, possibly tomorrow, if not Saturday. Just get you guys all the news that's coming out. I want to go a little bit more in depth with the All Elite Wrestling, go into any news, these possible guys signing, get the people the inside feel so that way when they hear about the Gorilla Position, they can come and just enjoy everything that we have coming to them from all different sides.
That sounds like a plan, my man.
A plan indeed. So I'm going to get us out of here. I want to thank you for doing the show. We will link up again sometime next week, as we always do, to bring all of you lovely folks into the Gorilla Position. So, Emir, thank you again. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you, brother, and it was an absolute pleasure to do the show with you.
Awesome. I love hearing that. We will be back next week. Thanks for joining us in the Gorilla Position. We'll catch you next.